right, we are here. Now I just need to... One sec. Okay, now how do I share? See, this is the problem. I don't know how to share. No, I don't. Okay, now we are here. All right, let's get this shared real quick. 1 second. Oh my god. Sec. Okay, there we go. The stream is shared. So, 1 second. Let me go back to the stream manager. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be doing a photo edit. So the image is already loaded, and that's because when I do my photo edits, I always have because I'll do more than one of the same image. So I always keep this layer here as locked background, essentially as like the root of the tree. And the edits that I create, I save copies of them. So that way, I can still go back to the same base Photoshop file and not have to worry about refinding the whole entire image. Yeah, so that's what I want to start with. So, to start, we're gonna duplicate the layer, and I'm gonna change the name to. So we're gonna duplicate this twice, but I want to change the name to this as RGB, just because that means that's going to be the colored layer. Before I duplicate it again, though, I'm going to go to my sharpen tool, click that, just have that ready, and then go to filter, go to the sharpen area, and then smart sharpen. And I already have this preset, so I'm going to drag that over here real quick. So I have the amount at 500%. This is just what I used previously. So I'm going to bring that down because I don't want it that sharp. It looks a little too, it just looks a bit much. So we're going to bring that down just a tad. Maybe we'll bring the radius up though. Just a little bit, get that at 13. Reduce the noise. Put that at 65, 75. Another thing you can mess around with the lens blur. So there's lens blur, Gaussian blur, and motion blur. So let's just for the sake of experimenting, let's just click on motion blur and just see what it does. It's it sharpens different aspects of the image. You can see that kind of by the head, it's still pretty sharp. The lane lines aren't as sharp as before. And kind of the outer edges aren't as sharp either. It's more sharp right in the center of the image. And let's go to Gaussian blur. So now it's extra sharp. So you can look at the lane lines are kind of blurry. They're just so focused that they're blurry. kind of the same thing with the splash behind me and also just, well, me. So so I think I just prefer using the lens blur because it's like a solid middle between um, the Gaussian blur and the motion blur. So we're gonna hit OK, that load, and then we're gonna then we're gonna duplicate it, and we're gonna call this layer BW for black and white, because we're gonna make that layer black and white. Now how we're gonna do that is we're gonna go to image, we're gonna go to adjustments, and we're gonna go to black and white. Now there's a couple of ways that you can make an image black and white. You can go to vibrance and just turn the vibrance and saturation all the way down like so. And that just makes it black and white. But I've been experimenting with the black and white, I guess, tool specifically, just because when you click on it, you get all of these colors here. You get reds, yellows, greens, cyans, blues, and magentas. And you can see that they're all on like a certain spectrum. And on each of the ends of the spectrum, like on the right side, it's closer to white. So like the more right you go, the more white it's gonna look, right? So we're gonna put that back. But then the more left you go, the more black, like the darker it goes. So so there's a lot of, so when we look at this, we have to think about what colors were where. So you've got the red and white lane lines. You've got the like kind of blue water that's kind of like up over here, like kind of in the upper left-hand corner of the image and kind of in the center back of the image. You've got more of like a cyan blue that's like towards the front of the image. You've obviously got like kind of the white in the splash, and when you mess with some of the colors, you can see that like yellow also kind of goes with the skin. But like when you mess with some of the other colors, like green, it's picking up, like when I'm moving the green, you can see that it's kind of picking up little areas like right here, and like in the center of the splash. So yeah, so like just being able to have more control over like I just like this better because you get more control over adjusting for the black and white. So I'm gonna make the reds just tad darker. I'm gonna move it down to 40%, just because that makes the lane lines a little darker. It also makes the skin darker, like I said earlier, but because the skin also kind of goes into the yellow, we can change that and make it just tad lighter. We're gonna put it at 100%, just so that way you get more of a like texture, like you get a little more definition. I guess like just seeing the difference between like the forearm and like the upper arm. Oh, let's go to green. I don't know. I do kind of like it when it's full 300%, but I think we're gonna wait on green for a second. Let's adjust the cyan first because the green is kind of in the center of the splash. So we're gonna wait just a second to look at the green. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the cyan first. Let's adjust that. Oh, I'm not clicking on it. Yeah, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Okay, so I kind of like it a little darker just because you can see a little more like definition back here, like just like you get more of a texture with the water. But at the same time, if it's lighter, you kind of get different shadows and stuff. Like you get rid of the shadows, but I kind of like the shadows. I think since the black and white image is going to be underneath, I'm going to go just a tad darker. just so that way when we get to the other part of the video, uh, it'll look more distinguishable. Like you'll be able to see it better. Now I've got the blues. So I'm actually gonna make the blues just a tad darker. I'm gonna move that to -20. I'm trying to get it to 20. It doesn't want to go to 20. There we go. 1 second. I have to redo all of that because I accidentally clicked the back button. Okay. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna move that down to like 20, move yellow back up to like 100. We said we were gonna worry about green later. We're gonna make cyan just a tad darker, move it to like 25%. Blue, we also said we were gonna make that just a little darker. We'll move that to -20. And then magentas, let's just look and see where magentas go. So just when you're trying to like figure out what colors mess with what, like just in case you forget or if like you don't see that color exactly, because photos like it'll pick up subtle parts of each color. So just like scroll back and forth and then just see what is moving. So for the magenta, it's also kind of, as you can see, like it's kind of on the lane lines as well. So I'm gonna make that, it's like the highlight of the lane lines, really. So we're gonna make that just a little darker there as well. We'll put that at 170. Okay, now we can hit OK. So now we're gonna move the RGB layer over the BW layer. And we also want to have a fog layer as well on top of the black and white layer. Now it's gonna look weird for a second, but all right, so we're gonna add a new layer real quick. So you go down here, you click the box with the plus sign in it. You know, just in case you like don't remember which one's layer, just like hover your mouse over and it'll show you like that's layer. Oh no, I accidentally added the, 1 sec. Okay, so if you hover your mouse over like the little buttons, it'll tell you like what they are. So there's layer, create a new group, create a new fill or adjustment layer, layer masks, add layer style, and link layers, which that button will unlock when you're clicking on more than one layer, which you can do that by doing a command click or a control click, depending on if you're using Windows or Mac. And of course, there is also the trash can, which we know what that's for. Okay, so we're gonna go here and add some clouds. So you can have like, for this, I'm just doing like basic, just like a black and white clouds. If you want to change the color of the clouds, you can just go over here and like you can make it red, like whatever these two colors are over here, or in the upper right corner where the color cube is, that will determine what color the clouds are. So for the clouds, you go to filter, go down to render, then go down to clouds. So there's difference clouds. That's for something else. That's for like specific selected areas. And you use that when you are, like if you use the lasso tool, like I use the difference clouds when I'm making lightning. So like when I'm trying to make little lightning bolts, I use the lasso tool and I carve out a specific area of the layer that I want the lightning to go. And I draw a line. I fill in the left half of the line, and then I put in difference clouds. And then that makes like a white line in the sky after inverting the image. So yeah, we're gonna go to the clouds now. Just click clouds, And then for the sake of being able to see the cloud, since I put it underneath the RGB layer, we are going to hit this little eyeball. So that's going to hide the RGB layer. So when you click on the eyeball, it's going to appear and it's going to disappear, just like so. Yeah. So the first thing that we should do, I'm going to go to eraser tool. Okay, so we're already there. And I want to do a soft round pressure size just to kind of like make the clouds just a little lighter. I don't want them to be too overpowering. Don't want them to take over the image, but we're not going to erase them completely. So if you want to erase something to a certain degree, you can do that. Like if you want to completely erase something, you want this opacity at 100%. So like watch, I'm gonna, oh wait, first we need to put a layer mask on here. So that way like that stays. Okay. So now that you have your layer mask on, now you can mess with the clouds. So we have the opacity at 100%. We're gonna move this back to 100% as well. The float, we'll get to that later. I changed the flow depending on what I'm using the eraser for, which, yeah. So I'm gonna draw a line just like right here. See, like it's completely erased. You can see the image, like you can see the layer underneath completely, and it's not like as blurry. But you do Command Z to undo that. Then like, let's just say, let's go to 50%, right? And now let's watch. So we're gonna do the same line, but see, okay, so you can kind of see the layer underneath, but you can also still see like the clouds, like the areas of the clouds on top. And that's kind of what we want. We don't want the clouds to be completely covering the image. We want it to just like almost be like a filter, you know? We want that to be almost like a filter. So we're gonna do Command Z. I'm gonna increase this just a little bit. I want this at 60%. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that over all of the clouds. Okay. So now that you've done that over all your clouds, next thing you wanna do is go here, go to smudge. Excuse me. Okay, so the smudge tool. Smudge tool, it's essentially like the blur tool, except you like stretch the image, right? So watch. So I'm gonna go, although my smudge tool has been working kind of slow. So yeah, see, look, like mine it's loading, but once it's done loading, you'll be able to see like what I'm talking about. So essentially, I'm gonna use this little loading thing here. So like I drew like this. So that area that I drew over, it's gonna be a little more blurry, but it's also gonna look almost like it's stretched out. What happened? Why didn't it? Hold on. Okay, this has not happened before. Oh, it's because it's a layer mask. So now we're gonna go back over here to the normal layer. So the layer mask, that's just what we mess with to where you can get the clouds to be like not as strong, right? So now we're gonna go to the actual layer. So we're gonna go from the mask to the layer. Now we're gonna mess with the smudge tool. Okay. So I'm gonna just draw like a circle right in the middle. It's gonna load, it's gonna take time to load. But you can already kind of see it's moving really slowly, but like right here where the little rainbow thing is, it's like slowly moving. So once that's done, it'll be like, there'll be a little blurry circle, but you'll be able to like see the stretch marks kind of. Okay. So that's gonna take a little bit of time. So for right now, like while we're waiting, I'm gonna go back to, I guess I can't click on other tools, can I? I guess we'll talk about why for the eraser tool, why the flow is gonna be relevant later. So the flow, right? That just essentially means that it's gonna it's like, how do I put this? Like the smoothness of the way it goes across the screen. So I mess with that because with the eraser tool, I made it so, because like you can do this with any tool, like a brush, a yeah, you can do it like with a brush or any other tool. But you've probably seen lots of my stuff where like I have little light dots and like I create light rays. So the way I do the light rays is like I make light dots. But how do I make light dots and how do I make them like so random? You go to the brush settings, which I'll open up once I can. But the brush settings, they like you can turn on scatter. Like there's a whole bunch of different modes, and like I'll be able to show you like once I'm actually able to like click here, because then I can show you all the brushes that there are. But for right now, when you click here, there's a whole list of brushes. Some of them are smudge, like when you click on them, like some of them are specifically for smudge. Some of them are specifically for brushes. Some of them are like multi-purpose, like the basic ones, like the one I used earlier, the small pressure size. That can also be used as a brush as well. And you can also use that for smudge. So like you can, yeah, like some of those brushes you can use for more than one tool. But other brushes, you like it's only specifically for that tool. And I'll be able to show you more once I'm able to get it open. Uh, I'll be able to show more later when, like, just in that some brushes like they're smudge tools, but like they also are like high pressure, like they're high pressurized brushes, but they function as a smudge tool. So, yeah. Okay, it's looking like this is almost done, but like you can see like as it's swirling, you can kind of see how it's almost looking like liquidy in a way, like almost like water, like it's just going around. So we're gonna also like once this is done, once it's done loading, we're gonna draw another bigger circle around this one, and you'll see why the yeah, we're essentially trying to replicate the photo that I posted on Instagram, but it's gonna be different. Um, oh, it's so close. It's so close. But you know, you can like see how you can follow the lines. Like there's like little black spots, but you can kind of see the direction that they were stretched and that they're all leading to a certain area, right? All right, so now we're gonna go over here. We're gonna do the same thing, but just on the outside, the very outer edge of the circle. Boop. And it'll load again. It'll load again. But once that's done, then we'll be able to get to the fun stuff with the eraser. And I'll be able to show you guys how to like customize the tools. So that way you can use them the way you want to use, like the way you think of using them. Like the way, like just whatever you think of, like you'll be able to figure out how to go through the settings and change the tools to function for you. I mean, there's like this app is so sophisticated. Like Photoshop is so sophisticated. There are so many tools that I honestly I haven't really used all that much. Like I still have to learn how to use some of these tools. Like I mean, I know how to use the eyedropper, but like I don't really use the spot heal tool that much. I've used it before, but like I don't. I mean, I use it for very basic things. just like if I'm trying to repair an image or just something like that, or if something's blurry, or I mean, one of the things that I did in my photography 2 class in high school was we took pictures, like we took pictures in class and we custom like we opened Photoshop, like zoomed in, and I mean, in high school we all have acne, right? I mean, I still have acne clearly, but I mean, we're like you're able to go through on Photoshop with the spot healing tool and essentially like cover it up like it's not even there. So, I mean, I'm sure there's other ways that you can use the spot healing tool. I just haven't learned or needed to use it in a different way. So, yeah. Um okay. So, once that's done, we'll get to the next step with the eraser and then we'll unhide this layer here, the RGB layer. And the reason for that being is we're using the eraser on the RGB layer. Okay. So the reason why we're using the eraser there is because, and we're going to have the eraser on 100% for that. The reason we're doing that is because we'll be able to see what's underneath. So we'll be able to see the clouds layer that's still currently forming right now, and we'll also be able to see the black and white layer. Now the locked layer, the background layer, you can't really see that because the black and white layer is on top of it, which is one of the reasons, like why I said earlier, why I like to leave the background layer locked, because like when I put a bunch of stuff on top of it, it just kind of gets essentially lost in the chaos and it doesn't really affect anything. So I mean, it's just kind of there as like the base file. I think this is the third image I've made with this. Okay, so this is done. All right, so let's go. We're gonna turn this, we're gonna unhide this layer. All right, so look, it's like nothing's there. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this layer so that when we use the eraser tool, it'll actually work on here. So what we do, we click on eraser, we go, so that, see, look, like right here, I have eraser spots. So this is a brush that I like created using the settings over here. But look, like these are the general brushes that you can kind of use with everything. These are the dry media brushes. Now watch what happens when I click on the dry media brush. Like you'll see a different logo appear where the eraser logo is. So I'm gonna do this one in the middle right here. Like that's a brush, right? Then there's wet media brushes. Let's click on the Kyle's Real Oils. That one's a brush, but it has a droplet next to it. I don't think I have not used that tool, so I can't tell you what that is. Then there's special effects brushes. See, look, smudge tool, brush tool, brush tool, brush tool, water brush tool, smudge tool, brush tool, and then here's the light creation ones, which are brushes. The eraser dots. Let's go here. Actually, no, we're going to create another one. So I call it eraser spots because it essentially just erases random spots on the image. So let's go. All right, so for this one, I clicked on soft round pressure size. So we're going to go there. Now we're going to go over here. The brush settings, brush settings. So this essentially right here is like the little stream where you like kind of see what the brush looks like. So there's all these settings right up here. You've got the brush tip shapes, which we're going to leave that as the brush tip shape right there. You've got the shape dynamics, which we are going to adjust. My apologies. The first thing I want to do, we're going to go to scattering. I want to put so when you scatter it, look what happens. The brush kind of separates into tiny little dots. So we're going to put this at about 600%. I feel like that's a good number. We'll put the count at 3's too much. Let's do 2 count jitter. So like when you do the count jitter, it essentially just makes it more random. I personally like it at like 40%. Then we can go to the smoothing. Okay, I guess we cannot customize that. Let's just look at the texture. So just to mess around, we're just messing around at this point, like with the texture. I'm just kind of going in depth a little bit on the settings. So look, like you see, like this changes right here. You can change the scale of it. You can change the brightness. You can change the contrast, right? There's also depth, which makes the dots like bigger or smaller. Depth jitter makes the size more random. Okay, we're gonna click off that. We don't need the texture. Dual brush, we don't need that either. I'm not entirely sure what dual brush does. I've not used it before. Transfer, now this, we are gonna need this. So the opacity jitter, we want that at 0. Pen pressure, we can move that. Let's move that up to like 20%, just like a slight difference. Then the flow jitter, we're gonna leave that be. Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone. And then noise, we don't want noise. Brush pose, we don't need that. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of the transfer. We don't need the transfer. So here's our brush right here. So here's the little dots. Now, let's just see what happens when I use the, oh yeah, the flow's already at 52%, so that's good, that's good. And for the sake of this video, I'm gonna just make it like a little bigger, just like 800 instead of 600. Okay, so watch, I'm gonna draw a diagonal line across the picture from the upper left to the upper right. See how like there's just a bunch of random dots that just get erased, right? It's 100% opacity, so you can see what's underneath the image. But it's all random, like all the dots are random. Like you've got a cluster here, you've got a little couple here, got a cluster kind of over here, you've got maybe one down here, one over here. So we're gonna Control Z that. We kind of want we want more of the dots to be kind of on the outer perimeter because it's supposed to be like swirling around the I guess me. So yeah, like I'll go like that maybe. Oh, I don't like that right there. Nope. Okay. No. All right, this is a lot of trial and error. Like you can just kind of mess with this. I'm gonna make this smaller again, just because I like it when the brush is a little smaller when I'm doing the random spots. And you also don't have to hold the click down like when you're doing it. Like you can just kind of press, like so. You can also press one at a time if you're trying to be like extra careful. Sometimes a little bit of wildness is good. Also click on the same area multiple times if you want it to be darker or want it to be more erased. Or just like look a little stronger. Damn, I clicked on that a lot. Yeah, so we're gonna do a little more back here. Do like one there. Okay, this looks good for right now. Okay. Now that we've got all the pieces here that are erased, actually, wait, hold on. I want to put more stuff like on the edges real quick. See, now, like, just because I want it in a specific area, I'm doing it one at a time. Okay. Now, this is where it kind of gets interesting. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the layers, right? So there's a whole bunch of different kinds of layers. Hold on, I'm going to move this up so that way we can actually see all of these at once. So, I mean, you kind of can see, like, when I was clicking on it, like it just looks different, right? So you've got dissolve, which it just kind of, it makes the image kind of go away. Then you've got darken, which I don't really like darken all that much. Multiply, color burn, it's not bad. Linear burn, I kind of want to be a little lighter though. All right. Actually, before we adjust the RGB layer, let's adjust the fog layer. Let's adjust the fog layer. So we want that to kind of have a liquidy feel before we open it. Okay. Vivid light looks kind of cool. There's also the pin light. The pin light makes it look more like dots, so I'm not gonna. Ooh. Okay. Hard mix looks interesting. Then there's difference, exclusion, subtract, divide, hue, saturation, color, luminosity. I'm gonna do luminosity because it like looks liquidy, and it's not like completely overpowering, you know. We're gonna go back to this layer now. Now let's just see the difference, like when we go back down and look at like the different kinds of layers. Right, so we got darken, looks a little different. Ooh. So I like the multiply, but it's just it's so dark. It's so dark. I don't like how dark the water gets. I mean, it's not really because of the dots either, or even because of the layers underneath. That's the thing. Like when you burn an image, so like when you look at like darken, so you've got darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn, and darker color. So all of those are meant to, well, obviously make the image darker, like that's the section. But when you look here, like when it says burn, you can do that manually. Like if you want to burn specific areas, right? So like it just makes it darker in different aspects, like with different kinds of light, different, like it messes with more specific colors. So now let's look at the lighten. So there's that one. It's a bit too bright. There's screen, color dodge, way too bright. Linear dodge, lighter color. I normally use so when I'm making my lightning bolts, I normally use the screen layer because it makes everything except for the lightning bolt transparent. So that way, like you're just putting in the lightning bolt, like you're not putting in the other difference clouds either. Now these, like, I like the overlay layers better for this, just because I mean when you think about like what overlay is, like it's it's on top. So let's do like overlay looks pretty cool. Then there's soft light. It looks a little bit darker, but you can kind of still see like the turquoise. I can't move the mouse, can I? Then there's hard light. It looks a little bit lighter. I might go with that one. We'll come back to that one. Vivid, it's just too bright. Linear, it's a little too bright as well. pin light is a bit too dark. I do like what it does with the splash. Like when you look at the splashes, like that's really like the highlight there. Hard mix, way too bright, way too bright. So you've got difference. So like different, at least like this difference, it's like it essentially reverses the colors. Exclusion kind of does the same thing. So does subtract. I do kind of like the way subtract looks though. Then there's divide. And these ones, they're like this one I used for the lightning. So like or not the lightning, the fog, the clouds. So there's hue, saturation, color, and luminosity. I kind of like the way the color looks. It looks yeah, so we're going to use color for this one. And we're also going to go back because we don't necessarily want the entire picture to be blurry and like look liquidy like this. We really want everything around the swimmer to look that way. So we're going to back, oh, cool. It's already on software and pressure size. Or is it? One sec. Okay, good. I thought it was accidentally going to do the light dots. Okay, so actually what we're going to do, so we're going to click off of RGB. So when I click on the RGB, like it makes the layer go away, right? So we can't make this go away. We don't want the blue to really go away. So we're going to go back here. We're going to click on the layer mask, and then we're just going to go over right there. I mean, if you want, you can lower the opacity a little bit, lower it to like 60, 50. And then you can like go over like this just to make the splash a little more prominent, a little more dominant in the picture. And yeah, I'm also gonna do a little bit up there too. I don't necessarily like the glaring white light. And I'm also gonna go back here. This part is kind of optional, but I'm going over here, grabbing the blur tool. I don't necessarily want to see the splash on the side. The image. From the other person. I want it to be more like I don't know, just because it's more of a profile image, I kind of want it to be more focused on the center, right? So we also are going to have to do that to the black and white image because that's also showing. See, look, like most of this over here is black and white anyways. So like this is more blurry. Honestly, it makes the ripples over here look better. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like it better over here. I'm also going to do just a little bit of a blur here in upper corner. Yeah, so that is the finished product. You know, I mean, I didn't do this exactly the same. Like when you look back at the Instagram picture, it looks slightly different than the one here. I used a lot more dots here just because like during the like when I made the Instagram one, I was just kind of experimenting a little bit and I was like, oh, this is cool. So yeah. So now like I have it more down. Like it's, I don't know, it's just more refined and like more directly thought out. So yeah, I mean you can also like invert the image other ways too. Like I was saying, like over here, like you can invert it by changing the layer type. You can also invert it by going to adjustments, invert, or Command I, Control I. Again, depending on if you're a Mac person or a Windows person. You can click invert and look, it makes it all inverted. But it just inverts the colors. It doesn't do it in a specific way, which is what the layers do. And yeah, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, so here's the picture. this is the finished product. Uh, I mean, I'm gonna fine tune it just a little bit. I kind of want to get the smudge area up in that. Whoa, okay. I did not want to use this smudge brush. We're gonna back up to the soft round pressure size again. Okay, that is a little too strong. So with the smudge tool, you can adjust that too with the strength. I normally like having that at like maybe 75. Nothing too crazy. Okay, I'm hitting the wrong layer. That's what's happening. Okay, we're gonna go back here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here, no, I don't actually like that. No. I'm so picky. Actually, I do like that because then it looks kind of rounded, and then I can go like that a little. Yeah. So anyway, that's the finished product. I'm gonna post this later. The stream is recorded. Oh, I have to do it again. Oh man. No, it's okay. It's recorded. So it's recorded. So I'm gonna post it on the YouTube, so it'll be up. Yeah. So yeah. So here's how you make like a almost like a watery effect on an image, I guess. I don't really know how else to describe it. It has just, I guess, like a liquid texture. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come up with something because I have to title the video somehow. Yeah. So, like I said earlier, like file, and you save it as a copy because it makes the file size like it's better for the file. You can automatically save it as a JPEG. So yeah, hold on. Like, see, like when you save it, like even like if it's a norm, like when you normally save it, if it's a Photoshop file, it just goes way over here, like in 4 different folders, and it's like, how on earth do you track that? So I just organize it on my desktop. Yeah, so I'm gonna put it here just because it's an edit of me, and yeah, the format's already in JPEG, so I'll be able to like put that in my camera roll as well. I'm gonna title this stream just so that way I know that that's what that was for. Then I hit save and then it's done. Oh, I also have to, like, you also get the JPEG options thing. I normally just leave it at 8 because it's like the quality's still high. It's not a large file, so it won't take up too much storage. So we're gonna hit OK, and then so see, look over here. Like, so I changed the name of the project, but this here, like the name is still a number, which it looks like it's like the date and time the picture was taken. So yeah, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of the layers. And this won't affect the copy that I made. This is the main file, so it's not gonna affect the copy. And then look, it's just the normal background layer. So yeah. Thank you for anyone who joined this stream for joining. And thank you if you watch the video later. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed all of the Photoshop tips. I really unpacked a lot of Photoshop here. And this is going to be a really long video too. I think it's been 15 minutes, so this is going to be a long video. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. And I will, next episode of the podcast is going to come out Thursday. Today's Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday for some reason. Tuesday. It's Thursday. Oh my word. Ugh. It's coming out Thursday. So they'll be posted up here. It'll also be on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms through the IU Student Television channel. So yeah, I will. I don't know when the next time I'm gonna make another Photoshop vid is, but yeah, I'll keep it updated. I'm doing another a Midwest. I'm doing another Midwestern goodbye. Ugh. Okay, so yeah, I'll see you all in the next episode of the podcast.